podcast that finishes your workday in a very Red Raider way. This is the Tech Talk Podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
It is Tech Talk, hour number 1. We will go till 6 o'clock today. At that time, it is the Cowboys hour. Following that, Monday Night Football, Bengals at Broncos, 7 o'clock. One of two games tonight. What's your other game is the Jets at the Dolphins, the old twofer. High school fan zone tonight, 6 o'clock, 100.7 the score. Estacado, Memorial, and Liberty is your lineup with Randy Rosetta. He'll be here in the First United Bank studio as well, going an hour and a half. Clint, Gus, and Brennan, keep giving us your thoughts on the Yates Flooring Center chat line. Bullfighter said Gus is a bin gay guy for sure. He loves the tingle feeling.
That's false. You know, when I was, like when I played baseball as Atomic Bomb, you know, and all that stuff. And somewhere around there, shortly thereafter, I remember reading like, oh, this stuff doesn't really like soothe my muscles. It just like irritates the nerves under my skin. You know, like doesn't really do anything.
Yeah.
Okay, well that's disappointing. And it's sort of if you want to call it the placebo effect or whatever that came from it, sort of went away. The magic,
You just got tougher.
Away.
You didn't know it. Yeah.
No, crap doesn't do anything, but irritates the nerves, under your skin. So
I hate the the feeling of either the roll-on stuff or like aloe vera, like that. Yeah. Whatever that feeling is on the skin, it's even if it helps some of the irritation of whatever you're fighting through, it's not worth it because all I can think of is just like this sticky stuff.
It's like
flesh
too. That, yeah. Well, that picture you showed us the other day of you with the sunburn from,
and that was only the second worst one. I don't have a picture from the one that was the worst one.
Been dancing with Beelzebub that day. Good Lord.
I looked like I had fallen into a vat of strawberry syrup.
Dang.
Yeah. That was fun.
You were all excited there in Dallas at the swimming pool. You're excited by the flush toilets and the electric lights and all the big city things. You just forgot to just lost your mind.
Man, we were going to Six Flags. We were going to a Rangers game. And I was like, oh, yeah, I forgot sunscreen for the 30 minutes I was in a pool. And yeah, then I got people think I just joke about sunscreen. I really, if big sunscreen, whoever you are, Banana Boat, if you ever need a PSA, come to this guy because I will put my whole heart into it.
Big Pharma.
I imagine whoever is the face of big sunscreen is somehow even like pastier
than you. Yeah, sure.
I am
Dr. Irving Schlemowitz.
My name's Jonathan Alabaster. This on the Yates Flooring Center chat line.
Caucasians everywhere.
From T-Bone. Gus, I missed Jamie talk about the baseball scrimmage last weekend. Did you hear how it went?
Yeah, I think they lost 8-3 something. I listened to a bunch of
9-3.
9-3. Mm-hmm. I think we had 2, and it was pretty much everybody just one inning. Perko threw 2 innings for us. I think the rest were 1-inning guys. And we had 2 guys go out there and give up 3 in their respective innings, not really sharp at all. Johnny Lowe and Connor Mohan, so 2 returners from last year, and so that kind of blew the scrimmage open. But, I think 2 of the new position guys. This is kind of what we talked about for Nashby, just in a cursory scan of what they're looking like. They're new faces. They're going to be new faces. A catcher, probably right field. Certainly the DH, probably third base. But the third baseman, Schaus, he had 2-3 hits. Mm-hmm. Georgia Tech transfer. Yeah, and then it's a I don't know. So and I think if you look at them standing out there on the field, walking to the plate, it's a more physical group than last year's team was. Freshman shortstop had a couple of hits. They turned 3 double plays. So I don't know. I think Tim said in his in an audio clip, there may be like 3 spots that are really up for grabs. I mean, barring an injury and that kind of stuff, but just, as you go into the camp, you're like, hey, that guy's probably going to be the shortstop. And that guy right there is probably going to be the third baseman unless he plays himself out of it. And so the rest of those dudes are going to have to hit to get on the field, which last year, and I know pitching the other part of the conversations, they finished next to last, I think, in ERA and all that. Most of the new pitchers are going to come from names that were on the roster last year, which is where I would say that's probably where Coach Foster and Coach Merriman come in. Taking some. The one thing about it, they're not being handed a dozen freshmen and saying, here, sort this out. There's older guys in there, and there's some draftable arms in that situation too. But
if I made you give me a returning arm and just a returning guy from the field, who has, I guess, who are you the most interested in?
Oh, interested, yeah. I was going to say, because Logan Hughes is showing up on top 100
Sure,
lists.
yeah, not necessarily like who you think will be the best or anything like that, but are you
Interesting.
just the most interested in?
Yeah, I really need, so I'll say interested, and he's a known commodity, but Parker Hutera needs to be good. He was a closer last year, fought injuries. Maybe him and Jackson Burns are 2 guys that are sort of in the same boat, although Hutera did a bunch his freshman year. Mm-hmm. Injury-riddled deal last year. And that really left us short. Last year's team was short at closer. To be able to hand the ball to somebody when it's 4-4 in the 7th inning and say, go finish up, hold it here, we'll get a run, get out of here. Last year's team just couldn't do that. And so that's one. And then Jackson Burns was a weekend starter on the first weekend in North Carolina and threw a couple innings and then never to be seen again because I think he caught mono. I think that's what Tim talked about, and lost a bunch of weight and just never, was never really close. He had a good inning the other day against Texas, and that's a big old good-looking kid too. I don't know how many Tech baseball fans, maybe if you've been out to a red-black type scenario or something, have seen him in person, but he's a good-looking kid. And they were counting on him for a lot last year as a freshman, and so, hopefully just being healthy and all that. But unfortunately, he didn't really get to deal with some of the freshman things you get to deal with when you play and have some good moments and some bad moments.
You never really got to see his worst day kind of thing that we've
his
talked
first
about
day
before.
at North Carolina was tough because he walked a couple guys and some of that kind of stuff, but there was no real opportunity to bounce back or whatever. But you asked about a position guy, returning position guy. Of course, Villamez, a catcher, Tracer, Hughes. That's good. That's a good question. It looks like Kyler Thompson might be in center field, but he was also batting 9th the other day, which is probably better because you don't have to lean on him for a bunch of offense, but you get the defensive side of his game. Be interesting to see if there's a little more offense in there than what he gave us last year. I'd have to have a list of names in front of me to give you a better answer to that, but I think there's 3 new catchers that are all solid, so we'll see. It'll come down to who's on the mound, I'm sure.
The podcast that finishes your workday in a very Red Raider way. This is the Tech Talk Podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
It is Tech Talk on Double T 97.3. Clint, Gus, and Brennan keep hitting us up on the Yates Flooring Center chat line. We will go back to a few more of those in just a moment. But up first, Mr. Brennan has a play of the day.
Commissioner Goodell sitting with some Irish rugby players. By the way, walking through Trinity College yesterday, I just happened upon a rugby game. My jaw dropped watching these dudes pummel each other. No helmets, no pads.
Why don't you tell everybody what they told you they refer to American football as?
I don't think I can use that word. But yeah, they said it. I was like, okay, yeah, fair.
Yeah, okay,
watching
fair.
you guys do what you do.
Yes, sir.
This doesn't feel quite as tough.
Yeah, that'll be after dark.
So that was from the Ireland game this weekend, and Joe Davis and Greg Olson, I like listening to those two. But hearing that, I was like, that sounds like something that would be said on this here show.
I don't know what you're talking about. Speaking of which, did you see that Skylar Thompson was on that trip, Steelers quarterback? He got jumped in Ireland.
And it wasn't by Avery Johnson's dad or brother. That's
No,
the crazy thing.
no. Yeah, Kansas State quarterback, stop going to Ireland. It's not good. Yeah, just stay out of that. Stay out of that. At least if you're going for a football trip, I guess.
Yeah, not ideal.
Yeah, that's crazy. Shelly said, Adolescent Duck is now my favorite for the 26 race. Make sure it gets on the list. We also got to talk about
Quack.
Yeah, talk about kissing your sister. Why doesn't the baseball program get the NIL investment that other programs have gotten? Is Tadlock resistant, or do we not have the donors for that program?
I would focus on the donors, but remember, we're in the House settlement era. Like, you can go look it up. Texas Tech's getting $380,000 worth of revenue share. There it is. My guess is they were able to get a little bit more money than that, maybe a decent amount, to be able to hang on to Hughes and some of those guys. The only sports that are getting a big chunk of money are men's basketball and football. And softball, which was able to front load a bunch of stuff. Why? Because a former letter winner and her husband have a lot of money from Double Eagle Oil. Is that what that is? Double Eagle, whatever. So, yeah, those are the three sports that are really well funded. All the rest may do okay on the field, may not, but there's no need to sit around and ask, like, where the money, why this and that. And then is Tadlock resistant to it? That thing's been out there, and we played the audio clip. Maybe I need to get the audio clip from back in March when he answered that question. The first year he said, I really wasn't sure what to do with that, and then after that, it's been all in on it. You know who our best player was last year? Logan Hughes. Where do we get him? Through the
portal.
Starts with a P.
Yeah.
Thank you. Who was our best pitcher?
Because that has been the...
Who was the best pitcher, Clint? Jack Siebert. Where do we get him?
Transfer portal.
Thank you.
Well, because...
Villeneuve. Where do we get him?
Transfer portal.
Thank you. Okay.
I've seen what you're saying, people... I guess thinking the Gundy sort of angle on this, and that's just not the case. Like, and I get you can't prove.
But I read it on a message board, Clint. It's got to be true because everybody else said it, right?
You can't prove that. Hey, he wouldn't use it even if it was like he doesn't have it to prove it. Like he would love to have that.
They had about $800,000 last year, my understanding. All right, and that number's only going to go down. But I imagine a lot of other baseball programs are going to go down as well, at least in terms of revenue share. Now, if you own a bank and want to hire one of those dudes to do some commercials, get after it. Remember, you'll have to. But I would imagine that they were able to keep Hughes and a couple others with some front-loaded money, which means that they reached to an agreement prior to mid-June when the House settlement was signed and wrote the check. Because I would imagine had he gotten into the portal, he would have had his pick of ACC and SEC programs. But I would imagine that they were able to front load some stuff. But yeah, I mean, because we had also were, fairly well informed that they were, some of the SEC rosters were $3 million worth. Yeah, and last year we weren't anywhere close to that.
Speaking of,
unless 800,000 is suddenly close to 300, but I don't. I mean to 3 million, but our numbers out there, it's like 380,000 of rev share. So,
speaking of NIL and stuff like that, so this is something we talked about a while back, and then we circled back to it after the Utah win because I saw a handful, and a couple had asked specifically during our show, like, hey, should we be worried about Hammond, leaving? And you mentioned the multi-year, 2-year contract that he had signed, which is still just kind of weird to say that. But that is circled back around again this week. I believe he was on he being Coach McGuire, was on a Dallas-based radio station and brought that again. Somebody in his media availability asked him, if there's anybody else specifically that's on these multi-year deals, and he didn't give any names. He said, he didn't want to forget anybody if he started running through those, but that there's like 7 or 8 players on the roster right now that have that as well. And that's very forward thinking, but it's also, I like the protective nature of that, of keeping these guys. But that should answer anybody like, hey, because it was coming from, are we taking care of our backup quarterback? Is he going to leave? Is he, he has this awesome half against Utah. Everyone's talking about him. If he's not the starter, is he just going to move on, to somewhere else, or is someone going to poach him? And I get that because, it's we're in a world of you never know, Gus, when you get to the transfer portal. But hopefully that puts some of the worries that might still be out there for the fan base to bet a little bit, because the coaching staff and the guys that are working on this are not dumb, and they're aware of, on one hand, the same thing that these fears are based out of, right?
Sure.
Because they want to keep these guys around as well, but also they're, if you're going from a very professional standpoint, they're doing themselves a favor if you work out what is a long contract in college years now, because it's still a short window, right? Can't sign these guys to 7-8 year deals.
I think the
popular. I think that's interesting.
Yeah, I think the popular school of thought is that Ojo and our edge rusher and some of those guys that are high end recruits among the very tops in the country, was that they were all being offered kind of the going rate in the SEC is a 2-year deal, and with Ojo and what's our edge rusher's name from Georgia? Those guys were getting 2-year offers, and we said, hey, we'll pay the third. It's it's baseball free agency, right? I got a 4-year offer on the table. Well, we'll give you 5.
Yeah.
Sometimes which obviously means more money, but just longer term security and whatnot. But yeah, I think
LaDainian Guyton.
There we go. Thank you. Yeah, I think we're there will be some dudes incoming that have some multi-year commitments as well. Yeah.
I think it's smart, like if you believe in those guys, just to make sure that you're going to have them. And you're going to have some that are quote-unquote busts and don't live up to the contract, however you want to say it. But that's the way life's going to work in college football. It is Tech Talk, Double T 97.3.
The podcast put together with Red Raider fans in mind. This is the Tech Talk Podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
It is Tech Talk on Double T 97.3, hour and a half more with us, Clint, Gus, and Brennan, live from the First United Bank studio. You can hear some Monday Night Football tonight, Gus, 7 o'clock.
Nice.
Bengals at Broncos. And those are 2 more teams, Gus, that I think have started out in a much different way than they had envisioned in the offseason. And one of those, you look up and, the Bengals record-wise aren't in a bad spot, right? They're 2-1, but playing without Joe Burrow, that's that whole division got very interesting over the weekend.
Yeah, it did.
Lamar Jackson, who knows what his status is going to be. Him going out isn't the reason why they lost that game, because their defense, or the Chiefs' defense, was kind of putting it to them. Not kind of, they were putting it to them the whole game, and then the offense found a little rhythm. But still, you leave with questions about the Ravens. You don't know what the Bengals are going to be with Joe Burrow. The Browns are bad. Could it be, Gus, the Aaron Rodgers-led Steelers that win that division? I am intrigued. But the Broncos, they're trying to find a little footing as well.
They had a monster performance by a running back this weekend, I think. Didn't the Steelers? It wasn't Gainwell, and he
Oh yeah,
yeah, big day.
But the Broncos
can yeah.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Can Aaron Rodgers stay healthy?
I don't know. So far.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I guess what I'm getting at is just, I mean, obviously the age is there, but, a couple of years ago he snapped his Achilles. Just
Sure.
Feels like that's kind of tenuous there, but at the same time, he's probably serving them well.
This on the Yates Flooring Center chat line for discussion. I don't think Lamar Jackson had a hurt hammy during the Chiefs game. I think he got frustrated and pulled himself out or got pulled.
Whoa. That is a serious accusation.
Boy, that would be about as bad of a look, in my opinion, if it was him pulling himself. It's one thing if the coach is like, hey, we don't really need to put you in danger the rest of this game.
Sure.
It's over.
100%.
I don't love that approach from your coach either, but, unless it's like 5 minutes left in the fourth quarter.
Yep.
But if it was your franchise quarterback, your multi-MVP winner, the guy that is still trying to get over the hump just to get to the Super Bowl, was like, this isn't going well, I'm out.
I think they're an early open week. I want to say they have 2 more games in an open week. So, I mean, I guess if he plays this coming weekend, it may not necessarily be an indication of him as a just sitting it out. But if he misses a couple games, then we probably have a pretty clear indication there. But I definitely wasn't going well for him, and maybe he was being extra careful too. One of those things. Maybe he stays in the game if it's tied, right? If it's tight. Whereas, hey, we're getting housed here. And speaking of that, how about the triumphant debut of the Score, 100.7? Clint, that pregame show kicked on at 2 o'clock. You know what time the postgame show ended? I think we had a game end about 6:30, right?
Yeah, I didn't listen to any of the postgame.
Remember what I was telling you? I was doing the breaks till when? 10 o'clock, right? 7:50. Clint,
Okay.
that is 5 hours and 50 minutes of Chiefs game coverage. Plenty of pregame. The very last thing I heard, Clint, was Coach Reed post-game wrap-up, right? His media availability. So all of that to say, our new product here on these airwaves, of course, our sister station down the proverbial hallway. Like that's not just popping in for the kickoff and then the final whistle. Like that's a full pre and post. That was good stuff there. Again, and I was sort of a captive audience as I was moving the jack stands into place.
You will not be surprised that I made sure to turn it over there while watching.
Well, I mean, and they had a good crew too, wasn't it? Romo, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That was easily their best game, right, Clint?
Oh, 100%. It's certainly from the. No, I'll say on both sides because the defense has been good this year. They were really good against the Giants. I thought Spagnuolo, I think loves playing in those big games in the AFC because I thought he had a great game plan, and even if the offense had been sputtering like it had been, which it wasn't. It's crazy. You get some speed, you get one guy back, and that offense opens up. I also thought they got some different running back looks as well, which is something I was certainly begging for so far to start the season.
Yep.
But overall, easily their best game, and then you could see how much it helped out Travis Kelce, it helped out Patrick Mahomes, it helped out the entire offense to also to have Hollywood Brown get a little bit more in the mix. And so
the Xavier Worthy, Romo early, probably late first quarter, was like, take a deep shot, it just, even if you don't complete it, if you're, it's out there, defense can't cheat the underneath stuff, this and that, blah, 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 bang, 35, 40, 45 yard or whatever that play was to Worthy, and like, well, hi there.
Yeah.
Hello there. Back.
I certainly had a much better Sunday watching.
Yeah, they were
watching them.
Yeah, that looks like the team of old, and we saw some graphics too that the first several years of Mahomes' tenure with the Chiefs, they've been the best offense in the league, and several of the important metrics over the last 2.5 years, not quite half, but you get what I'm saying. They've been very middle of the pack, 15th, 18th, 23rd. think they showed that on TV yesterday. So, yeah, they got to get it going. They need to get all the toys. Your guy Rice, he'll be back here in a couple weeks, and away we go, right?
Hopefully he learned to drive a little bit safer and not be an idiot on the road.
Boom. Clint, the scornful father.
Just be smart, Gus.
I agree.
The podcast put together with Red Raider fans in mind. This is the Tech Talk Podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
Hour number 3 of Tech Talk. Thanks for joining us. Clint Scott, Dr. Mike Gustafson, Brendan Riker behind the glass taking care of us. Keep hitting us up on the Yates Flooring Center chat line. You can also call us on the Visual Edge IT hotline 806-771-0973. Eric on Wheels had this. Changing shocks isn't hard. Struts are the difficult suspension part to change.
There we go. It's good info. I've never attempted it.
Bobby Hot Dogs said, Clint, for the Kansas game, I'm going to buy a hot dog and load it down with mustard. Then I'm going to put it under my seat so that I have something to throw at you if you happen to walk by. So, free hot dog.
Well, there you go.
Okay, here's my question.
Because of the opponent. I got it. Okay.
I think you could buy something easier to throw from the concession stand. Unless you were... Because if you're just throwing it as a hot dog, right? The bun, the wiener, and then the mustard in this case. If you're just throwing it like that, that's not going to stay together. That's probably going to like Y and split off and not hit your target. So
it's called a scatter shot, Clint.
Oh, well, I got cat-like reflexes. Unless maybe you're crumpling it, your best alternative. I think it would be better to get a burger and crumple that into a ball. Now you have a baseball-sized object. You might even be able to curve that.
Yeah, but if he's loading it down with mustard, then if he crumbles it all up, then he's going to have mustard all over.
Okay, but if it's on the hamburger, right? Then it's all encased in the bun, and then it'll explode on impact.
Let's just focus. Let's just stay focused on unadulterated tortillas. Okay?
Well, here's the other question that's important.
At kickoff.
Like if you're doing a scatter shot, just do nachos, right?
As foot hits ball, not.
Well, wait a minute now. Who's bringing the chocolate milk to go with the hot dog?
Okay, I'll just say this. If anyone wants to throw free food at me at Optimum Game Day Live for any future ones, feel free.
And Clint will catch it.
You bounce it off
with
the
his
press
mouth.
box of glass.
This week, Gus, a very interesting weekend in the conference.
This past
weekend. I'll run through the slate real quick, just if you haven't heard the scores, and I want you to tell me which one caught your eye the most. You had Arizona State beat TCU 27-24, a comeback win for Arizona State, by the way. Houston struggles also on Friday night, but they win in overtime against Oregon State 27-24. That game was in Corvallis. In Lawrence, Cincinnati game-winning drive 37-34 final.
That surprised me.
They beat the Jayhawks. I'll circle back to that. Iowa State pounded Arizona 39-14. BYU won a close game in Boulder to stay undefeated 24-21. Kansas State finally looked good in a game. They beat UCF 34-20. Baylor, didn't cover, but won 45-27 against Oklahoma State. That line was massive. And then how about Utah going to Morgantown? Ankle looked just fine in that game for Devin Dampier. If you're leaning on that excuse for the Utah fans, 48-14.
Yeah, that was a workmanlike throttle in there. That was just steady as they go.
Mm-hmm.
Just in control. O-line looking good. I think you and I had talked about that at the end of the week. It felt like the O-line would travel and that they'd be leaning on those dudes really on both sides of the line of scrimmage, and that was that game felt like classic Utah.
Mm-hmm.
And again, probably after they had been jilted by a not-so-good performance, right?
Right. And
they came out buzzing, or maybe thundering.
What result was the most interesting to you?
Probably the most relevant to the top of the conference is ASU doing what they did against TCU.
Yeah, TCU
'Cause I think those
just
are two
popped
of the best.
into the ranking.
Yeah.
And
I think those are two of the top, I don't know, 5 or 6. Kind of not exactly sure where we can cluster those things at the moment. But, that, Leavitt looks like the real deal, as if that was any question. I don't know.
I think some were questioning after Mississippi
know.
State in a slow start.
True.
They didn't look great against Northern Arizona, but they have, guessed to me, they've clearly worked their way, at least for me, right back into like a favorite, one of the favorites in the conference. Because right now I have it as Texas Tech, Iowa State, and Arizona State are kind of my trio right now, and then like just underneath them would be like TCU and Utah, and
Yep.
I still need to see BYU. That's where they are right now, even though they're undefeated. I just need to see more out of them. I need to see them when they get into some of the and part of their schedule, if you want to say meat on their schedule, is going to be you here in about a month, a little bit longer, yeah, somewhere around there. But they've certainly had a good start to the season.
Yeah, that one, and then just the timing of it probably had some attention to the Kansas score. And I'd be lying if I said I sat there and watched it, but just following the score as it unfolded, and Sorsby doing Sorsby things. And
He
that
looks
was with,
great.
that was with their really good tight end down for the latter part of that game, and big nose guard not playing, and Sorsby it felt like when they left here, because Tech had to hang on to beat them last year, and we didn't know how good we were and how good they were. Of course, that was right around I think that and the Arizona State games were back-to-back, and they were both kind of similar type games, and Sorsby was just making plays. Oh, look, hey, 3rd and 7, and there he goes, first down.
And this should be, I would think, as far as watching for like a future opponent, speaking of that game where I'll get free food thrown at me,
Yes.
that Kansas team can't tackle, man. They cannot tackle. It's incredible. Like they get there to make plays, and then running back, wide receiver, quarterback, doesn't matter. They just run through, and that's what happened at Missouri too. And I really do think that could sound like, oh, he's complaining about something. No, it's more of like, I think that's something that will hold that team back from being like a really, really good team, because the offense is legit. And that's something where I think at home, when you see them on homecoming, I think you could put up a ton of points anyways. But man, if I am Cam Dickey, if I'm Caleb Douglas or Reggie Virgil, I'm looking at that going.
Are you licking your chops,
yes, Clint? I would be.
Well,
defensively, I think that's
that.
a different conversation. But man, that defense, they can't tackle, and Cincinnati, especially in the most important parts of that game, made him pay for it. And on the other end, Cincinnati, they're kind of going under the radar because they lost their first game of the season to Nebraska on a pretty big stage in Kansas City, and it's like people wrote them off. But I mean, they look really good. They look physical. They can run the ball, and I think Sorsby is one of the more underrated quarterbacks in the league.
I agree with you about Sorsby.
It's every Red Raiders' favorite podcast. This is the Tech Talk Podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
It's Tech Talk on Double T 97.3. Clint, Gus, and Brennan keeping us up on the Yates Flooring Center chat line. Ask Tech Talk will be in 15 minutes from now. Steven said, I yelled Clint at Optimum Game Day Live and you didn't even notice. Steven, I apologize. Kansas game, Optimum Game Day Live, if you're out there, come yell Clint again. Throw something. I apologize. I watched the TCU versus Arizona State game. TCU played bad. Hoover lost that game alongside their soft secondary. Arizona State didn't win it. I'll agree with part of that because I think Arizona State absolutely went and won that game because Leavitt made plays. I think that defense made a bunch of key plays, including the strip sack late. TCU secondary, however, they were doing some things like how do you not stick to Jordan Tyson more? He should be weapon number one for Arizona State.
Yeah, it almost feels like they and this is understandable. You don't want to get him the ball, but it almost feels like they force the ball to him at times. Mercy, he's a good player.
Yeah, and part of it is because he's so athletic. Leavitt can play the game of Tyson's down there somewhere. But to the TCU secondary part, there's like on the one touchdown, nobody even stuck with him. Like, how do you forget where he is on the field? And then as far as like Hoover, yeah, he didn't play great, but at the same time, I also give Arizona State some credit because I think they're putting a string of quarterbacks together right now that are saying, I didn't play my best game against them because the Arizona State defense that was there last year. That's where I think they're hitting their stride, Gus, is to me, yes, Scattaboo was incredible. Levitt had a really promising year. Before Tyson got hurt against BYU late last year, he was just as good. But what made Arizona State, to me, so consistently good down the stretch was their defense. Kept on finding ways to keep them in games, and then the offense was like good enough to really good depending on the day. Well, the defense early on in Big 12 play has been that same defense. And that's where I think your game in Tempe is really interesting. Can you... Because there's a little bit of as explosive as like Tyson and Levitt can be combined together. I think there's more like ball control to their game than there is consistently looking for explosive plays. And maybe a better way to say it is the best version of Sam Levitt is like the explosive plays are with Levitt, or with Tyson, but everybody else, it's take what the defense is giving you, and then and so like you're not looking at these monster totals of drives the defense is having to go up against, to complement it. And so I'm really curious by the time you get to that game in Tempe, what you're able to do, one, against their defense, and then if you can do what TCU did early in that game, which was make those drives short for that Arizona State offense, because it's been really hard to, even when you've beaten Arizona State in the last couple of years, year and a half, I guess, to blow them out. Like, no one can pull away from them.
And that's the mark of a good team.
Yeah, that's a good quality to have.
Yep, hanging around games, trying to find a way.
But, man, for TCU, they just went, feeling good, top 25 to, okay, that was fun for a week. And I still think they're good. I still think TCU very much can be a threat in the race, but the instant high buy, we're going to switch with Arizona State of who's in the top 25 was quite the weekend.
I think to your point, Clint, on the ball control side, they have the leading rusher in the conference.
Mm-hmm. And
Malik Brown, 506 yards. I mean, he's well on his way to 1,000 yards.
And I thought it was going to be Kanye Udo coming in there, the transfer from Army, and it's been Malik Brown instead. And also you could probably throw Kyson Brown in there too, and it's been a little bit of a surprise. But that's what they did last year, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're playing the same exact way that they did last year. Nothing changed with their scheme. It's just we know a little bit more about their quarterback and we know a little bit less about their running back. Is that a fair way to say that?
I think it's safe to say.
What did you think of the Arkansas job opening?
Well, I was surprised it hadn't happened yet in some regards, and then I saw the buyout thing. I think it was about $2.9 to $3 million extra if they waited a few more weeks until his record since 2021. There's very specific language in his contract that if his record, as long as his record since 2021, which I assume means post-COVID was probably the significance of the 2021 side, then as long as it stayed above 500, that the buyout was like $9.8 million. I could be a little off with these numbers. And then if it dropped below 500, maybe at or below 500, it was 5.9, something like that. I thought it was a $3 million deal when I looked at it, but I could be off a little bit. You get the idea. But they obviously weren't waiting and pulled the trigger. It sounds like Lashley is the guy at the top of their list. Of course, he's the head coach at SMU. He's already had the do the whole deal about I'm not interested. I'm focused on my job, this and that, and so. Yeah, that job probably has some challenges in terms of are you a top tier SEC program?
Right now, they're not.
Right. And that's they've had their years and their moments where they've gotten to the top of that league, but just year in and year out, you're going to look around and go, hey, there's Alabama, Georgia, Tennessee, like these monster brands in the sport, and so what's your perception of that?
You know what I think is interesting with it is because Bobby Petrino takes over. By the way, already made a bunch of staff moves, and they said, okay, you the rest of the way out, you do this how you want to do this. He's obviously been there before, had the crazy off the field stuff of why he was bounced there in the first place, but it feels like Rhett Lash, he's on the top of everyone's list.
You see,
but Petrino's on that list too.
Eric Morris on those lists.
Sure.
Too, yeah.
It feels like they're giving Bobby Petrino like a full runway of audition to see if
of interim audition.
Yes.
Golly, man.
Crazy. It's a crazy circle specifically with him of his former role there when he was at Arkansas before blank hit the fan. It is Tech Talk and Double T 97.3.
This has been the Tech Talk Podcast, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction. Check out our library of Double T 97.3 podcasts at doublet97.3.com.